which is weird.
Matt, you are amazing, and Karen, you are my ultimate Ginge. So my question is, one of my favorite characters was the Dream Lord. I thought that episode was just amazing. He's a very interesting character, you know, got the dark side of you. So, will we see him again?
Well, I mean, he's one of my favourite actors, Toby. You know, he's just incredible. I'd love to get him back. Yeah, it would be wonderful if he could. With a bigger army, I'd love to see him with a real big, huge army behind him. And I think the idea of the Doctor's alter ego really presenting the Doctor a problem is such an interesting one, because actually, I mean, I was talking to someone about it earlier, and if you look at the blood on the Doctor's hands, you know, over the ages, there is so much. He's got so much guilt and death, actually, that he must have to manage every day. So I think it's a really interesting concept. I'd love to see him back. Yeah.
Can I ask a more mechanical question? Last night, weren't you guys at the Nerdist? Will Wheaton was there, and Will was talking about driving the Enterprise, and he was talking about the buttons and how he sort of knew how the Enterprise worked. And he asked you if you felt the same way, if you had the same thing about the TARDIS control board. And I want to know more, like, what all the switches do?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you believe, when I turned up on my first day, they gave me a manual.
They gave me a manual.
Yeah, I mean, and like, you've seen it, right? And so I taught Karen how to fly. We spend hours just fiddling around. But if you look at if you look at the takes and stuff, I'm taking off and landing, it's always the same thing. I do the gear there, clink back the big lever with the lights, and then zip the handbrake. And then there's a lab, and there's a navigation system where he types in where he's going to go and stuff. So, yeah, the TARDIS just never gets boring, ever.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Big Doctor Who fan.
Yeah.
Of course. And my question is for Matt and Karen. My question to you guys is, what is your favorite alien race?
Kaz.
Favorite alien race? I really like the Sisters of Plenitude. You know, the cats. The nurse cats. They're actually quite nice.
Yeah. I'm into the Sisters of Plenitude, absolutely. I like the Angels are my favourite, the Weeping Angels. I'd say them.
Yeah.
In the same vein, can I ask to go down the line, if you take Matt out of the equation, who your favorite Doctors have been?
Wow, that's a pretty tough question. Well, I think beside Matt, Tom Baker for me, because
I really struggle to take Matt out of the line, but I would step
I'm just trying to be fair.
Tom Baker, yeah.
I'd say, Jim would say Matt, and then after that, I guess either Tom Baker or David Tennant.
And I like Chris Eccleston.
I like Troughton and. It's so hard, isn't it? Because, you know, what's so wonderful about this show is that everyone has their Doctor. And so hopefully in like 20 years' time, there'll be 5-year-olds going, and they'll be 25 going, yeah, Matt Smith is my Doctor, and Amy Pond was a companion and stuff. And oh, thank you so much. That's very sweet. That's the beauty of the show, I think.
No love for Sylvester McCoy, but okay. I like Sylvester McCoy. Good.
First of all, thank you all for the last 2 years. It has been amazing storytelling. My question is, given that you're coming up on the 50th anniversary, and particularly, I mean, you're at the home of genre and the Tribe of Geek, do you ever consider the fact that you are contributing to modern myth-making?
Piers, Beth?
no, we don't, because if we did, we'd be a bunch of arses, really, wouldn't we? But we do take Doctor Who incredibly seriously, and it is all of our lives, and we just want to make it brilliant because of the love, our own love of it, but also the love of all of you lot, because, I mean, who wouldn't want to when it's appreciated this much? So thank you very much for getting us to work every day. I think we should answer that, actually. I think we're much better placed to answer that one. I mean, Matt is the Doctor. What you see on screen is pretty bloody close to how he is on real life, apart from he's maybe a bit less competent in
I'm not as cool as the Doctor. I'm nowhere near.
Stephen, one of Stephen's favourite things to say, kind of after his kind of fourth glass of wine of the night, is he just is the Doctor.
Yeah.
The way that Stephen has, the way the character has evolved over the last two series, you know, Stephen writes for Matt. Stephen visualises Matt and can imagine Matt saying it, and he knows what Matt will make funny. So the two kind of come together very organically.
Yeah. It's just, I wish I was as cool as him. He's,
never gonna happen, man.
Yeah. It's just kind of, it's like Amy Pond's way cooler than Karen. It's true.
No, it's definitely true.
And it's what's wonderful is kind of getting to spend time, because as an actor, that's what you do. You spend time with a character in quite a sort of interesting way, and to do it with a man like him, he's such a benchmark for everything, for how to live your life. He's such a maverick, and he always makes choices independently for himself. And
I think Matt's a modest guy, but he's the first Doctor to be nominated for a BAFTA for the role. Goes to kind of testimony to what a brilliant job he did of coming in and redefining a role which had been so brilliantly defined by his predecessor, and it was such a huge burden for him and for all of us when he came into the role in the 11th hour. But I'll never forget the night after that episode, the morning after that episode had transmitted and reading in the papers how well received he'd been, and just feeling so proud of him. He is a brilliant guy, and we're all so lucky to work with him.
Can you talk a little bit about what the selection and audition process was like? What was it like? Now you evolved into it, and Stephen's work has evolved writing for you with the other writers as well. But how did you, when you first got there, what was it like?
Well, it's kind of, everything's top secret, so you get the script 2 days before. Well, no, a day before actually. So you only get a day to sort of look at it and learn it, and you go in and you do your thing. And weirdly, when David was leaving, my mum texted me saying, "You should be the next Doctor." And I was like, "Oh, all right, Mum."
My mom sent me that text too.
And then you go in and you do your thing, and you kind of think nothing of it, and then there's another one, and you go back and there's a couple more people there, and then I'll never forget when I got the call, and they said they'd like to offer you the part, and I was in Aldgate. I'd just come out of an audition and I was on a cobbled street, and it's a real game changer. It's a real life-changing thing to sort of take on, because it's Doctor Who, it was remarkable.
It was the easiest casting decision that any of us have ever been involved in, because it was just so bloody obvious from the moment that he walked into the room. It wasn't, quite often when you're casting a big important part, it can become very heated, and everyone can have their own agendas and their own kind of opinions, and some people are like one actor, some people are like another, but it was just really simple. So I remember Saturday afternoon, I think the day after we'd met Matt for the second time, and Stephen just sent me an email that just said, "It's him, let's face it, it's always been him."
Just to add to that, the same is true of Karen. We watched these auditions on a tape, and then a number of really amazing actresses came in. I'm quite smug about this, because early in the day, Piers came up to me and went, "Oh, we've seen all these brilliant people, but I just don't think we found her. What are we going to do?" And I said, "Don't worry, her name's Karen Gillan. She's coming in at the end of the day. I'm absolutely convinced it's her." And she walked in this red coat, and she looked amazing, and she was so funny, and she was so good at it. And she walked out of the room, and Steve Moffat just jumped up in the air and went and found her. And it was a really special moment for all of us.
Yay. Sorry, did you wait? Go ahead.
Hi, my question's for Matt and Karen. I really look up to you guys as actors, and I was wondering if you had any acting advice for someone who's just starting theater school like myself.
Oh. Attend. That's always good. And then, I guess, do your training, soak up everything you can, and then
read as many plays as you can. Read.
See as much as you can.
See as much theatre as you can, and I think so much of acting is linked to courage and about how you summon your courage, and that's a really interesting thing. Be brave. Bravery is a word. Make brave choices creatively. I mean, everyone has their own path, don't they? So I guess you got to find that, but you'll figure it out for sure. It's a good luck. Good luck with it.
Hello, my name is Melody Williams, and
cool.
Thank you very much for that. My question is about the science behind the show for the director and the writer. Do you do much research? If so, who do you consult?
Yes.
Did you check out Sexy Vampire film?
That's the kind of level of research. A childhood spent watching Hammer horror films, as opposed to looking. If I understood science, again, I doubt if I'd have become a writer. I mean, in a way, Stephen came up with spacey, weighty, timey-wimey. That is a kind of great cover-all thing, because I certainly don't know what I'm talking about in the science-wise. But no, the research is different things. I mean, for the God Complex, I did a lot of research into Greek mythology for reasons that will become apparent when you see it. And so it tends to be that kind of thing as opposed to the science stuff. The science stuff you kind of tend to explain by a weird, made-up thing. But otherwise, you research the kind of tone, in a way, of the show more than the actual science specifics, I think.
Hi, Karen, thank you for the burrito last night.
Did you enjoy it?
It was fantastic.
Okay.
They handed out.
If my question is
they handed out burritos after the Nerdist podcast to people who were there. And Hardwood said to make sure to say thanks to you guys. He said he forgot to. So.
Oh yeah. Chris Harvey, what a cool guy he is.
Matt, you read the bit about the Fez. Did that just seem like a funny line at the time, or did you have any idea that it would be this huge thing sweeping Who fandom?
Fez's are sweeping fandom?
I think so.
Oh, fandom.
No, that's kind of one of those things that you have no idea about. I mean, all sort of testament to Stephen Moffat, really, for having the ingenuity to be really clever, and it's actually him that makes Fez's cool. But what's groovy about all that is that's just me bleating onto him about wanting to wear a hat. He gave me the most stupid hat. And he reinvented it.
Isn't it? It's only on screen for a really short period of time.
Yeah, because River blows it up.
Yeah. Spot on, yeah.
Oh, that annoyed me. I was like, whoa, Fez! And then River blows it up. Damn him. But now it's all about the Stetson. You wait, Stetson.
And bow ties.
I mean, of course, to be fair, Matt kind of, talking about how much Matt is like the Doctor, when we were looking for the costume, which, was a huge decision, Matt pulled the tweed jacket out of his bag and said, I think I should wear this. And then he pulled the bow tie out of his bag and we all went, no! And then I went
You went away, didn't you?
I went out
You
for
went away.
a few minutes and came back and everyone was looking a bit anxious, saying, show Beth, do it again, Matt. And he put the bow tie on, it just clicked. And, that was Matt. He came up with it all. So if he thinks a hat's going to work, it's worth trying.
Yeah. I'll remind you of that.